Deathpixie disclaimer. This video was originally recorded in September 2024. There is swearing and profanity. Sources are listed in the description. This video is not monetized. Any ads you see provide revenue to the hosting site, not the creators. If you made it this far, geez, you have a lot of patience.
Deathpixie dancing on the lip of madness!
Welcome to Shitty PowerPoint Theater. Dignity not included.
Now then, Arthur Meighen.
Oh, here we go.
He was a master debater.
Yes, he was.
He served 2 terms, and his term lasted, that second term lasted 3 months. He would flip-flop with the next prime minister that will be mentioned. He did have a wife, and they had 3 children: Theodore Meighen, Maxwell Meighen, Lillian Meighen Wright.
Did he really have a wife, though?
Yeah,
we'll get
he
into
did.
that. We'll get into that.
Jessie Isabel Cox was his wife. Now then, he advocated for protective tariffs, always useful for a smaller nation, and I mean smaller by population.
Yeah, not by geographic area.
No. He campaigned against the renewal of the Anglo-Japanese alliance. Neither here nor there, not quite sure. It's a lot of research to get into that to make an opinion. He did combat the depression that happened. Government cut spending, resisted regulation, and minimally interfered in economy and employers. We would have to bring in...
You can take that one way or another, and you would have to bring in an economist within the 1920s to see what could have been done, given the climate at the time and the people at the time. We'd have to bring in an entire panel.
Like a historical economist to speak to it. The big con was the Byng affair, which was... so Meighen was actually defeated in a motion of no confidence by 1 vote, which triggered an election. And at the time of the confidence, Bennett was in Alberta campaigning on behalf of the province's Conservative Party for the provincial election, and was unable to vote against the motion. And Meighen would later write, if Mr. Bennett had been there, King would never have talked the diabolical and dishonest rot in which he indulged. He was a lot more careful when Bennett was across the floor. So you're gonna find out about quite the rivalry in Canadian politics, and I am very upset that we don't have an Amadeus type movie about Meighen and King. Very upset. Dear CBC, hit us up. We are happy to write the script for that. Come on, we need this. Canada needs this. The drama. Oh my goodness. One other thing to note, there was, he was not prime minister, but there was a crisis at Chinook, and he wanted Parliament to be called to send support because Britain might call on Canada to help with this. Parliament wasn't called, and he was all upset and pissy about it, but I think it was like a week later or less, Britain resolved the issue. All right. The slogan, etched more deeply than ever in the hearts of every Canadian, should be unity, stability, and progress. He had an incredibly long-standing rivalry with William Lyon Mackenzie King. They, in fact, met at the University of Toronto, and they both did debate club. They became rivals almost instantly. He had the second longest retirement of any PM, so he retired at 33. The longest, 33 years and 315 days. The longest is George Clark for being retired. And then he was in fact responsible for implementing mandatory military service during the conscription crisis of 1917. He was not prime minister, but I did want to note that, so you kind of know where he stood. One of the great secrets of successful debate: when you have a man under your hammer, never be tempted into doubtful ground, and give him a chance to digress. How often I witnessed men in the House who had a case and who really had their opponents cornered, dawdled off into other ground and gave the enemy a chance to change the subject and come out not too badly worse. So he was quite into debating. Hence the master debater comment. Unlike Laurier and Borden, who basically had a very respectful personal relationship, even though they had clear ideological differences, Meighen and King actually just distrusted each other and had open animosity to each other.
Well, was it distrust or was it tension?
Oh, we don't know.
Who really knows?
Apparently, though, the bitter and unrelenting rivalry between the two party leaders was probably the nastiest in the history of Canadian politics, and we do not have an Amadeus-style movie about this. Where the hell are you, CBC? That's all I can say.
Oh, it was downright nasty, alright. You want to get Meighen in a bedroom with King. They got real nasty.
All right, are you ready for the CV?
Not quite yet.
I need you to be ready for the CV because we got a lot of prime ministers.
Fine.
Yeah. So he was a teacher. He became a lawyer. He was briefly a law partner with Toby Sexsmith.
Ooh.
Is that not a great name?
See, there you go. He had a legal partner in Sexsmith. Why? Because when he saw King, all he could think about was sex.
Oh my god. Okay.
So that when he went to Minister Sexsmith, it was partially true.
All right. He went to House of Commons as a Manitoba MP, went to Cabinet, Solicitor General, Minister of Mines, Secretary of State for Canada, Minister of the Interior, Superintendent General of Indian Affairs, Minister of Mines, Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, Prime Minister. Conservatives won by the popular vote. The Liberals won a clear plurality of seats and were able to form a stable minority government with the support of the Progressives. So, interesting little thing.
Yeah.
He then quit politics at that point, went back to law, leader of the government in Senate and minister without a portfolio until 1935, leader of the opposition in Senate, quit politics again and went back to law times. So this is second time. Yeah. Conservative leadership again, and then went back to law. So there you go. You have any points you want to say aside from the fact that you believe there was a torrid affair between Meighen and King? Or at least sexual tension?
There was a lot of rutting. It was very torrid. Sheets were torn. A lot of bills were made.
Hey, this is Trapdoor Crabsworth for deathpixie. If you liked our content, please like this video and subscribe. And if you want to see more, just check out our links in the description. Do it or Miri will kill you.